In this lesson 4.5 day 1, we are going to learn how to complete the square in order to solve quadratics. So the first step is just to make sure that you know how to identify perfect square trinomials. Remember, we look for the perfect square at the beginning, the perfect square at the end, and we kind of do that square root of both, and we keep the same sign of that first sign. So right here, if that's a minus, then our simplified after it's been factored, we'll have a minus there. If it's a plus, then it's a plus. So we do need to have that as one of our steps. Next, we're going to practice coming up with what I call the magic number. So that coming up with the magic number is this magical number we get by taking the middle term, the b, dividing it in half, and then squaring it. So if we take that 14 and divide it by 2, we get 7, and 7 squared is 49. That's our magical number. So let's do another one. It doesn't matter the sign because you're going to end up squaring it, so it's going to be positive no matter what. So you can just take that b. You don't have to do the opposite. So 4 divided by 2, and then that would be 2, and then we square it, and 4 is our magical number. All right, you try number 3 on your own. Hopefully you've got 4 divided by 2 squared, and you have your magical number as 4. All right, next, 9 divided by 2 doesn't divide evenly, does it? But we can square it. We can square the numerator, square the denominator to get 81 over 4 as our magical number. Most of these, though, you will not have as a fraction. So let's go ahead and take a look at the steps to completing this square. It seems like there's a lot, but once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty quick and you know what to do next. So what we're going to do first is I call this our unmagical number. We don't want that there. We want our magical number to be there. So what we do first is get that away, get that to the other side, which is kind of opposite normally of what we do. We want normally everything on one side, but we want the unmagical number to be away. So plus 6x. And how I would get that away would be to add 27, right? Add 27. So I'm going to leave a spot where that unmagical number was, and then my 27 gets to the other side. So that spot there is where I'm going to put my magical number. So remember this last section here where we were making our magical number, where we got that. We're going to do that same thing here. So since b is 6, we want it to be 6 divided by 2 squared. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared. Our magic number is 9. Magical. Ooh. Yeah. So we're going to have and I'm going to change the color, magical plus 9. Whatever we do to one side, got to do to the other, add 9. So then we simplify. We have an x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 36. So the whole point in completing this square is to make the left side what we just did, that magical number, so that we can factor it. Because this is a perfect square 1, this is a perfect square 9. So we know it's x. Since this sign is a plus, we bring the plus down. And then 9, square root would be 3. And then we have that whole thing squared. So that goes back to that first page of perfect square trinomials, factoring those. So first step, magic number, put that in there, then factor. So we have that equal to 36. Next step, we want to undo the squared. How do we undo something that's squared? We do the square root. So square root both sides. So that winds up giving us x plus 3. It just gets rid of this little square here when we do the square root. And then the square root of 36. Now when we take square root of both sides, we have the plus minus. Remember that from our last lesson. We have plus minus. So this is going to be plus and minus 6. So what we do is we set up the two equations. So x plus 3 equaling a positive 6 and x plus 3 equaling a negative 6. And then we finish solving. Subtract 3 and I get 3. Subtract 3 and I get negative 9. And there's my two answers. And we're done. All right, so let's go ahead and do one more together. Then I'm going to have you practice one on your own. So first step, remember, get that unmagical number away. Get that away. 84 by adding. So we have x squared minus 8x, leave a space, equals 84. Now let's put in our magical number. So it's going to be 8 divided by 2, again, b over 2 squared. So 8 divided by 2 squared would give you 4 squared, or 16. So that's our magical number, 16. Add it to both sides. Next step is to factor, or simplify if you want to before you factor. So factoring this, it's going to be an x, it's going to be a minus, the square root of 16 is 4, and it is x minus 4 squared. And then on the other side, we have it equal to 100 when we add our two things there. All right, so now that we have it squared, we want to unsquare it. We're trying to get x alone, trying to figure out what x is. So we undo something that's squared by doing the square root. Whatever we do to one side, got to do to the other. So I'm going to move it over here. So now that squared's gone, we have an x minus 4 equals plus or minus 10. So remember, we have two answers here, because when we do the square root, it could be a positive 10, could be a negative 10. So set up our two equations, one equal to the positive 10, one equal to the negative 10. And then finish solving. Add 4. So we get 14. Oops, add 4. And then x equals 14. And then add 4 over here to negative 10. And we get negative 6. And there's our two answers. So I want you to try this next one on your own. Think about those steps. I'll kind of get you started here. Remember, steps is unmagical away. Unmagical number away. So do that first. Get it to the other side. Put in magical on both sides. Magical number, remember, it's the b divided by 2 squared. Put in magic number, both sides. Okay, then you're going to factor. Then do square root. Then set up two equations. All right, so try those. Again, it's really important that you try this on your own and practice those steps so that you've got them. So pause the video, and then let's check when you're ready. All right, so hopefully you are at the step where you've checking that you got 98 to the other side. It would be negative 98 over there. Your magic number should be 100 that you're adding to both sides. Then after doing the factoring of it, we would wind up at this step. Doing the square root would wind up with plus or minus square root 2. And then we would have a plus 10 equals square root 2 positive. A plus 10 equals negative square root 2. And one thing that you can do when you have that plus or minus square root, you can keep it together. So equaling the plus or minus square root 2, and then just subtract the 10, and that 10 just goes in front. So you could keep it as a equals negative 10 plus or minus square root 2, or you could have it separate as a equals negative 10 plus square root 2, and a equals negative 10 minus square root 2. So either one, two separate answers, or one single answer is fine. Make sure the plus minus, because really there are two in there, it's just written together. All right, let's try some more. Oop, and they're at the bottom. There we go. Two more. So I'll do one with you, and then we'll do number 4 on your own. So get rid of the unmagical number by adding it there. Leave a space for the magical number, and that would be 72. So the magical number here is 6 divided by 2, which is 3. 3 squared is 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. So n squared minus 6n plus 9 equals 81 if you want to add that simplifying step before now factoring. So it's n minus 3 squared when we simplify that perfect square trinomial. When we do the square root of both sides next, we have n minus 3 equals plus or minus 9. Set up your two equations, one equal to positive 9, n minus 3 equal to negative 9, and then add 3 to both sides. So when we add 3 over here, we get 12, and when we add 3 over here, we get negative 6. All right, so try the last one on your own. Again, get the unmagical away, put the magical in, factor, square root, solve. All right, so we should have x squared plus 16x equals, again, add that 28. So when we add 28 here, we wind up with 20. Magical number that we're going to put in here is 16 divided by 2 squared, which is 64. So 64 added to both sides. And then we want to factor. I'm skipping the simplify step, but you might need to have done that. 84 here, and then we do the square root. All right, so we have an x plus 8 equals plus or minus. So 84, remember, think back to those simplifying of radicals, and we want to do 84 and figure out the biggest perfect square that we could divide 84 by. So 84 could be divided by, let's see, divided by 4. So 4 and 21. So it would be 2 radical 21. So this is another one where you can split it up, or you could just subtract the 8 and have x equals negative 8 plus or minus, and then our simplified radical to square root 21. Or if you have them written separate, negative 8 plus 2 square root 21, or negative 8 minus 2 square root 21. All right, and that's it.